Hello and welcome back to episode 8 of i75Live. We had another great week of NFL. Kind of unfortunate with a lot of injuries, but we've got a lot of good games to talk about. There are a lot of injuries on some really good players too, so it does suck that some of these guys are going to be out for a significant amount of time.
Right.
But a lot of great games, a lot of upsets, a lot of surprises.
It was a weird week.
As we've said, NFL is... I heard someone say it's the best drama TV show ever because you just never know what's going to happen
Anything can
week in
happen.
and week out. Let's get right into it. Bills-Dolphins was the first game of the week. We both picked the Dolphins. I think a lot of people picked the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And the Bills just did the Bills what they normally do. So.
I was so wrong about the Bills going into the season.
I was too, and I'll take full. I did not think they were going to be playing as good as they are.
And it's, obviously Miami, Tua got hurt, but I think Miami was losing that game even if Tua didn't get hurt. Like they were already down by like 21 by the time, that all that happened. But the one thing that I was talking about before the season is that, I didn't know if Josh Allen was going to be able to play, within the offense and not play too reckless and not give the ball over and over again. And he's showed that. He is not. I'm pretty sure him and Justin Fields are the only people without an interception right now.
He does have a fumble. I think he has a fumble. But yes, him and Justin Fields are the only two quarterbacks right now that have not thrown an interception.
It's not as flashy for the Bills offense, but it's working.
Yeah.
Like they're winning games and they're not having to do too much. And so going forward, it'll be really interesting to see if they can keep that up because I think a lot of people, not everyone, but I think a fair amount of people counted them out this year just because, they lost so much.
Yeah.
But
it was hard not to when you do lose so many pieces like that.
So many veteran leaders and, out the door. But now it's the younger guys are, answering the call.
And Josh Allen is kind of putting the team on his back, which is what we said was going to have to happen.
And he's doing it.
He's
God.
Yeah.
So same question with, TJ Watt last week. If Josh Allen keeps this up, is he your MVP?
Yeah.
I feel like he kind of has to be.
Yeah. Speaking of TJ Watt, there were a lot of great performances from defensive ends. Max Crosby had a hell of a game. And Hutchinson almost was a half sack away from tying the franchise record for Detroit. Those three guys were a lot of what people were saying. Oh, they're going to be game wreckers. One of those three is going to win Defensive Player of the Year, and it is really cool to watch. Mm-hmm. Now, my question to you, though, do you think that they are reaping the benefits of some of the O-line changes of how they're supposed to line up now? The penalties that we kind of saw with Baltimore?
With tackles not being able to line up as far back as they used to be?
Do you think that is helping these guys?
I didn't even think about that, but yes, I absolutely agree with that. And it would make a lot of sense that's a big adjustment that these linemen are having to make. Yeah, I mean, that could be a big part of it. And
even we can talk about the pass rush that I know, the Bears O-line was terrible.
I'll talk about that
even later. It could very well be playing a huge factor in these D lines being able to create as much pressure.
Scoring is so down and all the really. And then moving into that, we talked about Max Crosby, that Raiders and Ravens game. I don't think anybody saw that coming.
He had him and Devontae Adams had some huge plays in that fourth quarter.
Bowers, too.
Bowers played really good, yeah. But Devontae Adams and Max Crosby, that game, the superstars on that team, they took over on both sides of the ball, and they were able to, beat the Ravens. Now Ravens 0-2.
Yeah.
Supposed to be a Super Bowl contender. They're
a lot of Super Bowl
playing really bad. I know, yeah.
The Bengals are right there, too. And
Bengals, I think, played better, though.
They did.
For what they did week 1.
They had that game. But on the other side, Lamar has not been good to start the year at all. It's been bad. I think this past game, he was 21 of 34 for 250 yards, no touchdowns, an interception. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. And so at what point do you start to worry as a Ravens fan, you think? Now?
Yeah.
Or do you, give them a little bit more time to figure it out? Because as you said, with the new offensive line changes, that could be very well making an effect on teams across the league. That's a really good point.
And you're in a division, too, that's, say what you want about the Steelers. Steelers are 2-0.
They just figure out how to win.
They figure out how to win. You still got the Bengals. It is a very good division. And to start 0-2, it's kind of
it helps that the Bengals are also 0-2.
Yeah, that does help. It also helps for the Bengals to because I think the Bengals and the Ravens are better than the Steelers. So when it comes to, but I know
both of them still have to play the Steelers twice as well, which
and
won't happen until the end of the year.
It always happens too, where they always split, or like the Ravens always split. So that will probably happen, but. It is, it's crazy, some of these teams that are starting 0-2 where you just did not expect it to happen at all.
Yeah, and I think the Raiders may have been a bit underrated. I think their offensive line has been holding up very well. They obviously, they laid a dud against the Chargers last week, but they've been showing things. They've been showing a lot of things, and the offense has a nice amount of weapons. They got, Adams, they've got Bowers, they got Jacoby Myers. Zamir White and Madison have turned out to be a pretty good running back tandem. So we'll see if Minshew can keep up.
I think comes down to, as long as Minshew doesn't turn over the ball, they're going to have a good chance of, competing in some of these games, and that's what we saw against the Ravens.
Yep. Speaking of quarterbacks that have not been living up to the money that they just got paid a few weeks ago, the Saints dominating the Cowboys. What is wrong with the Cowboys?
There's a crazy stat out there that the Saints, the first 2 weeks, they have not punted the ball.
Their starting unit?
Every single offensive possession they have had, they have either scored a field goal or a touchdown.
That's crazy.
But yes, the Saints, again,
Criminally underrated.
Is the NFL. No one was talking anything about the Saints, and now look at him. Kamara had 4 touchdowns, looking like...
He looks like 2017 Kamara.
When he was the first overall pick in fantasy. Derek Carr's throwing the ball all over the place to his receivers.
He's playing the best ball that he maybe ever has. And Olave's doing the whole offense, really.
Yeah.
I think
their defense is. Then we talked about their defense. Their defense
I didn't think it was going to be this good.
But they've got a bunch of older guys, but they are playing right now to they're playing very well to. You're expecting that out of those guys. It's not like you got a bunch of rookies and you got a bunch of, free agents that came in. Like, these guys have been there. So the fact that they're playing and the offense is playing this good, it shows why that they're beating the heck out of teams.
I feel like the talk of the season for them has to be their offensive line. That has been the biggest part. Derek Carr has not been hit much at all. I get it. The first week was against the Panthers, but the Cowboys were supposed to be good. Obviously I had a different take. I thought, this is the year that the Cowboys crumble, but I think they're even, surprising me a little bit.
Well, in the Cowboys D line, with Micah Parsons, with Lawrence, with some of they've got guys to go get the quarterback.
They do.
And Derek Carr was sitting back there launching 50-yard, 60-yard passes down the field like it was nothing the whole game.
I saw a highlight from this game. Speaking on the Saints offensive line, when Kamara caught that long screen pass that went for 50 yards, their center is stride for stride with Kamara the whole time. Watch that video. Their center is sprinting towards the end zone. He's right next to Kamara the whole time.
Speaking of sprinting down while someone's running for a touchdown, did you see the ref when Jefferson had his 97-yard? That boy was flying.
Dude, he was doing speed turns and everything. It was making me proud.
Yeah, I saw someone say, dang, he should be playing defense. He would have stopped him from catching
runs
or
like
something.
a 4-3.
That's another game, too, where 49ers, everyone's high on the 49ers, got some injuries. McCaffrey's not playing. Now Debo's going to be out, but I know he played against the Vikings. But Sam Darnold, I think, took it a little personal. And
that's a revenge game for him. Forgot about that.
Yeah, because he was there with Purdy, and they let him go. But the Vikings, I know I've talked to someone who's a Vikings fan who I went to college with. You know who you are if you're listening. And he's a huge Vikings fan, and he's telling me, "Hey, don't sleep on Darnold.
There's a
don't
lot
sleep."
to be happy about right
There's
now.
a lot. I know Jones kind of got hurt, got banged up a little bit, but he looked really good for being kind of as old as he was. Jefferson is Jefferson.
He got banged up too, though. Yeah, so many injuries. We've got the list that will go down, down the line later. It's bad.
It is, and it sucks. It sucks for a lot of reasons. Like
fans,
you want to see these guys playing. Yeah. But no, the Vikings looked really good. They beat the 49ers, and the NFC, I think, is wide open.
Wide open.
I have no clue. And now you could maybe say the Saints.
It could be any of 6 teams, really, that could end up as the 1 seed, and the Saints included.
Yeah.
It's wide open. The Falcons
Bucks
finally
looked really
showed
good.
something.
Falcons looked good last night.
The NFC South, we trashed the division before the season started.
We really did.
We look.
We really did, and we had
3 out of 4 of those teams are competing.
Yeah, we were good on the Panthers. I think everyone was on the same page with the Panthers.
Yeah,
but
more on that later.
The Saints though look very good against a Dallas team. Now this is, I think, the circle of life for Dallas is they killed someone week 1. and everyone
get
is
killed week 2.
And then so I have no clue what's going to happen with Dallas. Their defense looked slow. Their offense looked very one-dimensional with a CD Lamb.
That's what I was saying at the start of the year. That running game is not doing anything for them. They can just hone in on CD and every once in a while Brandon Cooks. And how are you going to...
And now Ferguson has been out, so you don't even have to worry about him. So, that offense is... I don't know. We'll see. And, you get some of these guys back. Ezekiel Elliott gets up to speed because I know he's a little bit older.
Yeah.
But you pay all these guys and they're going to need to perform. And when they're not, I think it's just the circle of life for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. Deron Bland, because I think he tore his ACL. He had a major injury last year, so he'll be back at some point. And it'll be nice to see Diggs and Bland finally together.
Yeah, because last year Diggs was hurt and Bland was playing. Yeah.
There's a stat out there that it may not even have been one game, but they've barely played at all on the field together. At all. And they've both been very good cornerbacks, in their own respective game. But leading on to a team that completely fumbled the bag, this was a game you needed to win. And the Colts just walked into Lambeau and laid an egg.
Well,
over and over again. And yes, Richardson, it was horrible. The Packers have a good secondary, though.
They do.
So it's,
But come on. You're playing a quarterback that just got traded. He's barely been there. And you let him...
They're running a very vanilla offense. Barely anything happened in the passing game.
Couldn't stop the run.
Josh Jacobs show. Yeah. It was the same thing with the Colts and the Texans week 1. They couldn't stop Joe Mixon.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point.
So it makes me very confident about the Bears playing them next week because we haven't been able to find our run game.
Yeah.
That'll be a very interesting game to see.
Yeah, I know... Richardson, I think he fits the mold, but he hasn't shown... Now, I will say this, I think, truly is his rookie year because last year he only played
like
4 or 5 games. But 3 interceptions against a team that all you had to do was just not make mistakes, and I think you would have won.
Take care of the ball, balanced attack.
You have a very good O-line. You have JT, run the ball, don't make mistakes, and you walk out of that game winning against a quarterback who hasn't been there longer than...
They only lost by 6,
yeah.
So it really wouldn't have taken that much. The Packers weren't able to do anything at all for the most part. And to lose that game, God, I know AJ is feeling it this week, our friend who's a Colts fan, but I think it'll get better. It does not help that DeForest Buckner got hurt, who arguably is their best defensive player.
Yeah.
They've still got guys there. They've got Kwity Paye, and then they drafted Latu, but it's bad. When you lose, he's their centerpiece on the defensive line. And I don't know. It should be an interesting game this upcoming week. But moving on to, I'll let you talk a little bit about this because I'm sure you watched the whole thing. Seahawks and Patriots.
Yeah, dude,
You were so close.
We really were.
So close.
The long touchdown pass to DK.
That sucked.
It was a busted coverage.
It sucked for me watching because I benched DK this week. I was watching that
They were in a zone. It wasn't even man coverage. They were in a zone, and Gonzalez kind of bit down on the flat route, and the corner also bit down on the flat route, and DK was in the slot, and there was no one. It was a busted coverage, so that sucked. But yes, our run game looked really good. Our O-line played really good.
Showing a lot of potential.
We really are,
all around.
And this is great. This is what I wanted with not making Drake May play.
Yes,
like some of these other rookie we saw a stat that zero passing touchdowns from rookie quarterbacks so far on 200 some odd attempts.
Caleb has had 2 dropped touchdowns, I will say that, but still, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Then, and it brings to our point with all Bryce Young getting benched too, of the clip that we brought up a couple weeks ago of Tom Brady talking about these rookie quarterbacks and how there is just no time for growth,
QB development is dead in the NFL. QB development is completely dead.
If you don't come in and perform and go into this crappy situation because you were a high overall draft pick and you don't, it just sucks. It really does. And it speaks a lot of volume to what Tom Brady said, to where you have to have that time. And we've talked, Mahomes had that time. Drake May is getting that time. I'm not saying
Rodgers
he's going to be.
That time. Love had that time.
All these guys that you see now being successful that are young guys, they have been in the league for multiple years, been able to learn, and it sucks when you see someone like... Now, do I think that Bryce Young is the best player? Should he have been picked number 1 overall? Probably not, over C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
But he hasn't He's had like what, 3 coaches, 3 different play callers. Like, how do you expect anyone to get in a rhythm and to get in a flow of an offense or a coach or a team when it's just a continuous revolving door with all these important pieces?
And now he's getting benched week 2 into his second year. Confidence is down the drain. And it sucks. It really sucks. I feel for the guy because he's not, he's doing everything in his control, in his power. It's just everything around him.
Yeah.
And I've seen plenty of videos of him making mistakes, but as to your point, he's not getting the time to work on those kinks.
No.
In practice, he's not. He's expected to lead that team. The NFL has really turned into, I'm sure it has been for the most part in other positions, but especially for the quarterback position, it is sink or swim from the start. And it does not matter how much time you had in college. Doesn't matter.
No.
Even people like Josh Allen, who played at like Wyoming, or he came in and he struggled. Yeah. And he finally figured it out, but he started from the get-go.
Yeah.
But
it does suck because, I mean, you can't, and too, getting drafted to some of these teams, you can't help it.
Nope.
Like, you play on an amazing team in college, you do all these things, and then you literally go to the bottom of the barrel most of the time. So, but yes, back to the Patriots. It did make me happy. Yes, we lost, and I hate the moral victory of, oh no, but we took them to overtime.
They're 2-0.
I hear you, but I hate doing that. But yes, it was cool to go, it was a home game, so that was also nice to see him perform at home.
Mm-hmm.
We lost, but I hate moral victories, but I will say, hey, we played good. Offense was good again. Running backs was good. Polk caught a touchdown, so goes to our point last week to where he was going to get looked at more because of his win rate that he had week 1. So that was nice to see. Defense was still really good. Besides that one long play to DK, Gonzalez played really good when it was, man coverage. But yeah, it is what it is. 1-1. If you would have told me we would be 1-1 after 2, I would have said no. We're probably going to be 0-2.
Probably would have been like, which game did we win?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point too, because we just beat. Yeah, I will say, I was ready to shoot off the text with a bunch of our Bengals fans to be like, oh, Bengals beat the Chiefs, Patriots beat the Bengals. That means Patriots best team in the AFC. We're number 1 in the AFC. But I was ready to jokingly, but yeah. So I want to talk about let's Chiefs Bengals. Let's go to that one.
Yeah.
It was a heck of a game.
It was.
It was
the Bengals
a classic.
had that in the bag.
They really did. I will say though, I think it was pass interference.
Oh, it absolutely was.
It sucks that another Chiefs game ended like that.
That one I have no problem with though.
Yeah.
He smacked him right in the back before the ball got there.
It was. So I hear the whole, well, you can't call it. No, it was a pass interference.
It was PI. And they had chances to win the game and end it. Well,
Joe Burrow fumbled after they got the interception.
Huge mistake. And then Jamar, I know they still got points after that drive, but it's hard to think, maybe they get a touchdown if they don't get backed up 15 yards after Jamar decides to lay into a ref for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I know a hip drop tackle, which that hasn't been getting called at all.
No, it has not.
Not
and it's been, I will say though, they're fining players for doing it. So why are we saying it's a penalty? If you just want to fine people, do it. Cool. But you watch. It's going to come down to a playoff game, and they're going to finally call the penalty on a hip drop, and it's going to be
Chiefs
exactly what I wouldn't be surprised. And then they're going to kick a game-winning field goal. Game's going to be over. But yeah, I think though the Bengals, I think they played a lot better. The defense played really good. That one corner who was talking crap about Worthy, he backed it up.
Absolutely.
He had the interception, right? On the one-handed. Yeah. And it was he was covering Worthy. So that was pretty cool that he was
stride for stride with
talk the talk and he backed it up.
I will say the Jamar has been non-existent through 2 weeks. He's earning that money that he thought he was worth.
Well, you think though, who do they really like? If I was going up against them, I'd go, okay, let's have someone else beat us.
Yeah.
Let's do kind of what teams have been doing with Tyreek Hill. Put a safety over top, man them up, and make someone else beat you. That's what they've been doing.
This is why you show up to camp, though, to get prepared for moments like that.
Yeah.
When teams are double teaming you, you're in camp running through plays on the offense that are designed to get you open. Running, like, whether it's motion across the hashes. I don't know. It's the same thing with CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb had an okay performance against the Saints, but nothing spectacular.
Well, I think he had one really long touchdown
Without
catch.
that, he scores under 10.
Yes.
And so I don't know. It really, I don't understand why these players are skipping out on camp if this is the product that you put out on the field once you're finally back. Same thing with Ayuk. Yeah. Ayuk hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
And now he's really going to have to perform because I think George Kittle's battling with injury, Deebo Samuel's out for a couple weeks, and now McCaffrey's still out, and they just lost a game. So, okay, you got your money. Now let's play. Like, let's start doing some stuff and making these catches because that's what we paid you to do, and that's what you argued for the whole offseason. So let's see it now.
Yep. I saw this stat, speaking on the the Bengals and Chiefs game. You'll like this. Mahomes has had 17 interceptions called back from a penalty, 17 since 2018. Tom Brady had 16 throughout his entire career.
Yeah. So
just
but
saying,
Tom Brady complained and got all the calls. Yeah.
You can blame me guys for that one. Sorry. Yeah, that's fine. Well, let's move on. This one doesn't really deserve much talk, but the Giants and Commanders, I was almost right about it.
Hold on. To go back to the whole Tom Brady thing for a second.
Oh, God. Here we go.
I've also seen a stat that Josh Allen has more roughing the passers than Tom Brady did his whole career as well. So, for all you people who Tom Brady complained and all these, so... Anyway, continue.
The snooze fest that was the Giants and the Commanders. I was almost right about this. I thought the game was going to end in a tie, and I really thought that this game was going to be boring as hell. And man, was it. The Giants had 3 touchdowns.
This was a really fun game to watch.
It was fun, but every time, Red Zone in general on Sunday was like the field goal highlight reel.
Yeah.
It's just maybe like a big play here and there, but it was field goal. And the Giants scored 3 offensive touchdowns. First team in NFL history to lose the game after doing that and not allowing a touchdown.
That's funny.
On the other side of the ball.
That's funny.
They lost to field goals. Was it 7 field goals?
I think, it had to have been something.
21 to 18?
Yeah. Well, Jaden Daniels, I think, is just proving to our point, too, of how much fun he will be to watch this year.
Malik Neighbors
had a really good game. I think he's on pace to break Puka's record from last year. So
they play some tough games, though, and there's no one else on that offense. This was the game where he should have broken out.
Yeah.
But we'll see if he can keep that up against tougher corners and tougher competition because the Cardinals are going to be an all-you-can-eat buffet for fantasy all year. If you got a receiver going up against the Commanders, start them over and over again.
Yeah. We kind of saw that, too, with the Rams. The Rams have kind of...
They have so many injuries, man.
Like their whole line.
4 more starting caliber players are on IR this week.
Yeah.
And that's not including Cooper Kupp.
Their starting safety. I think 2 or 3 more O linemen. I think someone on the D line. Throw Cooper Kupp in there.
It's bad.
It's bad.
This game was a huge surprise, but when you look at all the injuries, it's not as much of a surprise. I think the most surprising part was the Cardinals' offense.
Yeah.
They look good. They look really good.
Kyler Murray ate his words of, it's not my job to get Marvin Harrison the ball.
Harrison had 5 targets in the first quarter. 130 yards and 2 touchdowns.
The first quarter. And then what's cool, too, is I heard in his postgame where he was like, I looked back at the stats, and I had 4 incompletions, and they were all thrown to me.
Yeah.
So I was upset about that. So I think that's – but Marvin Harrison is doing exactly what – we thought he was going to do.
He's probably the Rookie of the Year favorite right now because Caleb can't seem to get it together.
Yeah, I'd say after week 2, I'd totally say that. Or I'd even give it to Neighbors because I think
Neighbors too.
So, but that's what we said. If Caleb doesn't win it, it's going to be one of these receivers that just have a breakout the way Puka did last year.
Speaking on Caleb, though, man, that Bears O-line
it was
somehow worse than last year. I've seen all the stuff online, trying to trash Caleb. He definitely missed some throws. I'm not defending him in that way.
Oh, yeah.
But when he wasn't blitzed, he was 12 for 15 and was lights out. No turnovers. But then Houston decided to, they figured out that they can blitz us every play and we won't be able to stop them. The Bears O-line is incapable of blocking more than 4 rushers at the same time. It's ridiculous. I hope that people go online and see the offensive line highlights from how bad it actually was. There were really 4 or 5 instances where players were going untouched straight to Caleb and just nailing him.
Well, they were trying to perform double teams, and then it was
they triple teamed one guy on one of these snaps, and then 2 just bleed in from the center of the line. It's so bad.
Well, and like you said too, is they were really only sending 5 on some plays.
And that was even too much. So just a simple stunt.
Yeah.
Which for those of you that don't know what a stunt is, it's when you've got 2 guys lined up right here and they flip. one guy goes left and the other guy's wrapped around him and goes right. And it causes confusion in the line unless you're coached for it, which we're apparently
communicate to know how to go about it. And it just, they didn't know what the heck they were doing.
This is a recurring issue. This isn't something that just started. The Bears have had O-line issues for years. And we're seeing it. Lucas Patrick is on the Saints now, who was our center last year. Statistically, the worst offensive lineman in football. This past week, he was the highest graded Saints player in that game. He had a 97 rating.
That's funny.
And so it's like...
Hey, that calls for the Bears.
Thank you. It's so ridiculous. And then we had two other guys who were very highly graded for other teams. We've got a lineman on the Steelers who was highly graded, and then a lineman on the Ravens who were on the team a few years ago. And so it's like, I don't think there's a single mirror in Hallis Hall that can direct people to what the problem is, because the coaches could just look in the mirror and see it. Yeah. It's our offensive line coach is horrible. It's no coincidence that when guys come to us on the offensive line, they regress. It gets worse, and then they leave, and it's all of a sudden, oh my God, they can play football?
Yeah.
I don't know. It really makes me worried for the rest of the season.
And I think, too, look, because I know we talked, they're playing the Colts, and the Colts have not been able to stop a nosebleed when it comes to running the ball.
That's something we haven't been able to do either.
I think they need to make it a point of emphasis this week we need to run the ball.
Balanced attack. Help Caleb.
Get the play action involved, and then you can get some screen passes on the outside.
We weren't running play action off of run plays. I don't know.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
It is week 2. You're still dealing with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
So if we get to week 10, week 11, when they start playing division games, that is, I think, where I'll really press the panic button of, okay, we need to change something.
They really need to get it fixed, because we're really, from what it looks like right now, we are on our way to ruining yet another promising QB prospect.
I wouldn't say that, just ruining a season too.
That too, but ruining your future. No doubt. And Caleb had far from a perfect game. His timing with his receivers was off.
It was.
On a couple different plays. And so it's like, what was this entire offseason about? If that's what you're going to look like the first 2 weeks, why wasn't he playing in preseason with the starters more to get this figured out? Because we were in position to win that game against in most people's eyes, a top 5 team.
Well, you had the ball.
Who are contending this year.
You had the ball in the fourth. I know you didn't have any timeouts, but there was, a minute?
After 2 challenges that blew me away. I don't know
the first one with Stephon Diggs on the sideline was terrible. It was right in front of him, too.
You could tell that was a catch in real time. You didn't need a replay to see that.
Yeah, because you could see the pellets of the turf. But no, I mean, I don't know. Now, I will say he definitely improved from week 1.
Oh, absolutely. He looked really good coming out.
And you had the ball. You had the ball with 1 minute and 30 seconds left, only down by 6, no timeouts. But to say you had an opportunity to drive down the field
against
in a 2-man, it's a Super Bowl contending AFC team. You gotta kind of look at it from a glass half empty, glass half full type view. And I think Caleb, he'll only get better. Yeah. The defense is going to continue to play good. We saw
held
that.
One of the NFL's best offenses to 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
1 touchdown and long field goals, 50-yard field goals.
And you can only, like I kind of said, you can only do that for so long until they break through. So that's why you were going to need the offense to step up in a big way. They did, but they didn't.
I do think it hurt that we didn't have Keenan Allen going, because I think a lot of those misses would have been to him on those 3rd down and 4th down plays, but I don't know. I hope that they figure it out next week. I need to see something, because it's heading towards disaster. Yeah. I know it's week 2, I get it, but if this happens week after week after week, I will say they've got 3 games that they should win. They've got the Colts, they've got a horribly injured Rams team, and then they have the Panthers. So figure it out these 3 weeks, because it's not going to get any easier after that.
Yeah.
You play the Jaguars in London. The Cardinals are no longer a pushover. The Patriots are competitive, and those are also some of our next 3 games. And then you go into the division games, which our division, nobody is playing bad.
Yeah.
Nobody. Not even the Packers without a quarterback.
Yeah.
So we'll see, man.
So last night's game.
Falcons,
dude.
Surprise.
I'm a big Kirk fan. Big Kirko, he came in clutch, 2-minute drill.
He gave you every reason to believe that he earned that money that they paid
in the last 2 minutes, though. Well, I will say the rest.
In the second half. His stat line for the second half. Let me read this off for you. In the second half, he was 13 for 16, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns, 149.5 passer rating, and he had the game-winning drive with 40 seconds remaining.
No, so I'll say that his first half looked a lot like he did against the Steelers, and they just playing really, really bad.
Both teams in general just did not have a good first half.
It was just kind of all they could do was run the ball.
Yep.
The O-lines were playing really good, and they could just run the ball. But the problem is as soon as they would kind of get in scoring range or field goal range or the red zone, they couldn't do anything else, so they were forced to kick some field goals. But yeah, I mean, when it matters, that's what people are going to remember, though, about that game, is Kirk Cousins drove the ball down the field, 40 seconds left to go win the game. They're not going to remember anything else.
No.
He drove him down the field, won the game, 1-1 going against a must-win game.
Oh, absolutely.
Playing the Chiefs next Sunday night.
That's going to be a good game. We'll talk about that later. But just to take a break and go back to that Thursday night game. So what's your take? Should Tua retire? Because I think he should. What is that? 5 concussions now? 4 or 5 in his career? And 3 in the last 2 years? Bad ones?
The human in me says you probably should. You have now a family.
Yeah.
You're probably going to have kids. Your parent, your everything. Is it really worth it?
At what point do you start looking at it, honestly analyzing it, and saying, I am right now choosing a sport over my family and the future with my family?
Or over, maybe, I mean, dying by the age 50. Like, we're seeing some of these other guys who it's just like, oh, all of a sudden this...
My thing on top of that is even when he's playing and healthy, he's not doing all he can to protect himself. He plays so reckless.
Well, that too.
No guardian cap at all. I know it may not have meant that much for the way he fell, but no guardian cap. He's still leading head first when he runs after getting the first down. What are you doing?
So this, me and Chris were talking about it, and he looked at me and he said, now, the play that he got a concussion on, how many times does that play happen every Saturday, Sunday, football, whatever? Mm-hmm. It's not like it was some malicious, he was sliding and just someone speared him in the head, and it was, he lowered his head.
Someone who has been healthy probably doesn't get hurt. At least not that.
That's what we were talking about, to where it's
that's a good point.
It was kind of a normal, just lowered my shoulder and just kind of drove into someone, a collision, and that caused a concussion.
Has your hands locking up straight.
So the hit, and Chris was kind of saying, if that is causing a concussion, that is kind of how you know this is a problem. This is a problem for you personally, that you obviously are more susceptible to this, and it is now the effect of all the concussions that you have had over the years. So it brings up a good point to where it was a normal play. He lowered his shoulder.
9 out of 10 guys don't get hurt.
And that play happens hundreds of times over college football, NFL. It
happened to Caleb on Sunday night.
Yeah, it happens everywhere. Of running backs, putting their head down through the hole to get a couple more yards. So I think he should. I've heard stuff that he's not going to, that he still wants to continue to play, which as a fan, cool.
I know this may sound harsh, but really? Have the Dolphins done all that much to make you want to believe that, oh, we can win if I come back. We can win the Super Bowl if I come back. It's the same story every year with them. They can't stay healthy, whether it's QB or skills position players. Why are you coming back to play more mediocre football? I'm sorry, Chris. I can hear you. I can see you glaring at me in the corner. But seriously, if I was a family member of his, this decision would very much trouble me, because it comes off as you are choosing football. However long you're going to play it, 5-6 more years, if even that, if you keep having concussions, choosing that over the future with your family and being able to remember your kids' childhoods and stuff like that.
Yeah, and this is the human in me, to where it's I think it's a really easy decision. And then you look at it as even me, playing sports from age 5-6 years old to make it and to be in the NFL. I mean, it's your life. It's all you know. So I can understand how that decision to not do something that you just have done your whole life, made a living, can be very, very hard. But guys like Andrew Luck did it, and he had no problem doing it. And it was what are we doing? All the people that booed him, that gave him crap, and even Luke Kuechly,
Patrick Willis.
Yes, so there's a lot of guys to where
there's plenty of instances where guys have chosen their lives and their future outside of football.
Yeah.
And honestly, it didn't seem like he took very long to come to that conclusion at all. It was like a day later. He's like, I'm not retiring.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even an option.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
So do you think the NFL looks at him as like, hey, you have no choice. We'll give you your money of the contract you signed, but you've got to be done.
Here's an interesting thing. Maybe I doubt that the NFL would actually come out and tell him that he's not allowed to wear it. But if Tua is wearing a Guardian cap and then still ends up getting hurt, and we see this on live television, all of a sudden the Guardian cap does nothing.
Yeah.
And it's just a waste. And why would anyone wear it?
It's
so
just
maybe
like
that's another thing.
It's just an excuse to say, oh, no, we're trying to be safer
Exactly.
and trying to do all this.
So I don't know. It's very unsettling to think about, a guy making that decision, especially I hate to say it, it would be very different if it was Mahomes making this decision. I'd be like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. You're chasing greatness. But really, I don't know. I'm not trying to sound harsh.
I think, though, if you're going to say it about Tua, then you got to say it about everyone.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not just singling Tua out, but he's the only one really that has had this recurring issue, at least a quarterback with concussions
over the years that this has like really become a problem and more studies have come out.
He's the focal point of it.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But I'm speaking of the other injuries. I'm going to list these off.
It's bad.
This isn't even close to the amount of injuries that have happened.
This is just kind of the big names that are.
It's Puka IR, CMC IR, Pacheco going to be on IR after breaking his leg.
I think he just had surgery, so he's not coming back to like week 10.
6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Tua, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Jordan Love, Jordan Addison, David Njoku, Kenneth Walker, Raheem Mostert, T. Higgins, Jake Ferguson, Keenan Allen, Evan Ingram, Deebo Samuel, Jermaine Johnson, and that's not even a third of the injuries.
Yeah, the list. Walker was out for Seattle. He didn't play last week, and he's still dealing with his. It sucks, and it is what it is.
I feel like we say this every year. We're like, oh, this is the worst year of injuries I've ever seen.
It continues to get worse.
Year after year, this is happening over and over again. It doesn't matter. You can say what you want. You're banning hip drop tackles. You're trying to make the game safer. Injuries are a part of the sport, and they will always be here. But this year specifically feels more violent than before.
And it's so soon. Like, we're 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
2 weeks in.
We got 15 more weeks left.
Yeah.
No, 13. No, why am I? 16 more weeks. Yeah. So there's bye weeks.
And then the teams who make the playoffs, you've got another maybe
you got like another
3
month
or
of
4 games. So it does suck. It sucks for a lot of reasons. But yeah, and it just shows, too, to why some of these teams, I think, are winning games and losing games.
It comes a lot down to health.
It does.
It really does.
It does. And this is why I think it is the hardest championship to win in professional sports in America. It's the greatest team game is football, to where if you don't have, we've seen it with the Panthers, you don't got 11 guys on the same page or on any team, on an offense or on a defense, you're not going to be successful. You can have all the talent in the world at a wide receiver, or we're probably going to see it with the Dolphins for the next couple weeks. You've got all the talent in the world, all the money you've spent on receivers, on running backs, on whatever. If you don't have the quarterback to facilitate the ball, it's all for nothing.
Yep.
So, and that's also what speaks so highly of the Chiefs and what they're chasing right now with the three-peat.
Year after year, they're able to pull it off no matter what injuries they face, hardships or receivers dropping the ball. They just continue to get over the hump every year.
And I know I don't want to I don't want to compare it to the Patriots, but I will, because this is, I think, why everyone hated the Patriots as much as...
They just found ways to win.
They found...
No matter what you threw at them.
No matter who they had. I mean, we had Danny Amendola and Chris Hogan as I know we had Gronk and we had Edelman, but Gronk...
It's the same thing with the Chiefs. It's just you got Mahomes, you got Kelsey.
And then you've got some other receivers that they've just kind of sprinkled in, and they're turned into really good players because of that quarterback. But yeah, it just makes it really hard to where if you don't have 11 guys on both sides of the ball... It's extremely hard to win in the biggest team sport that there is. Yep. And that's what makes it so great, though.
Yeah.
Because if you can get through a season and you can, you have to get lucky. That's just the reality of it. And it's going to be fun to see who really comes out on top at the end of this year, because I have a feeling it could be a team that no one even batted an eye to making it as far as they might go this year.
My top picks right now really I still think the Texans are going to be right there. I think the Bills are slowly creeping up my list. Obviously, the Chiefs are going to be there. But on the NFC, like we said earlier, it's wide open. I could see the Saints making it very far.
Bucks look really good.
The Bucks could make it very far.
You never know with the Falcons.
there's a lot. But let's take a break real quick because we don't have this written down, but I want to talk about college football because this was a very interesting week. Like Vanny, our guest from a few weeks ago, is feeling it. I know he's very optimistic because of how they played Georgia, but oh man, they had it.
They did.
That decision at the end of the game.
We were talking,
What
and
are
I
you
said,
doing?
"Why are you punting the ball with 3 minutes left to go
to the number one team in the nation?
Number one team in the nation. You're at the ball at the It's not like you had the ball at your own 10-yard line. It was the 50-yard line. It was like a 4th and 3, 4th and 4, 4th and 5.
I feel comfortable punting the ball.
Punting the ball to the number one team in the country.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
That's playing to lose.
Oh, yes, 100%. Because
that's not playing not to lose.
You're just assuming you're going to... I realize you did a good job of it for the majority of the game, but you're assuming you're going to stop them again, get the ball back with, a minute left and march 90 yards down the field after they punt the ball to you?
No sense at all.
Yeah.
And then that LSU South Carolina game. I thought South Carolina was going to pull it off, man. They choked.
It was a good game.
They were up by like 17 at one point.
Yeah. The comeback, and I think Chip Kelly,
at the end of the game, that South Carolina had it. They had a pick six, like 100-yard pick six that got called back.
The guy who blocked the quarterback.
Which that was kind of ticky-tack. Yeah. Like, he was, not that he was ever going to make that play, but he's in the vicinity of where the ball is headed. So I didn't see anything malicious. He just pushed him down to the ground.
Yeah.
So that was very questionable. Like, why are you throwing that flag, especially in a situation like that?
Yeah. Well, another team that I think, and they got their flowers for it, now being ranked number 1 is Texas.
Oh, my God.
Ewers goes
Archie
down.
Manning.
Archie Manning comes in, and it's just like...
crazy.
Wow, this kid can play. I don't know. Why do you think he's staying there, though?
I think because of what we're hearing Tom Brady talk about with like developing and sitting. I think
so too.
I think he's getting so many voices in his ear because he is in the Manning family who know what it takes to develop and be the complete player. So I think he's got Peyton and Eli
and whoever the heck Peyton and Eli know and all. Yeah, I agree.
I believe that is 100% contributing to him staying at Texas and sitting because he will have his time, and I guarantee you he's going to be the best quarterback in college football for the entire season. Whenever he finally gets to start a complete year,
it's a very good argument that he's got a lot of great people in his corner right now instead of just chasing money. I bet you Brady
has said his part to him too. Yeah. Like, saying like, hey, you've got an opportunity. Yeah, you could go start for any team in the nation now if you want to.
He could.
But we're thinking long term here. We're thinking when you're a pro, you're not going to have that developmental period. You're going to be ready. Actually ready to start from day one. Yeah. So I think that's a huge part of it. Yeah. I've got high hopes for him.
That's a great example of that. I think it's a great argument to where I was thinking the same thing, and then I was like, hold on though. But you come in, the system. It's not like Why rush?
Yeah. Why rush? He's still young as hell. He's very young. I think he's still like 20, 21.
And I'm sure he probably redshirted his freshman year, so he can have that year back.
This is like his 3rd or 4th year in college, I'm pretty sure.
And if Ewers, he's been playing really good. But
he apparently will be back. I don't think that injury was as serious as we thought it was at first. Yeah. But still, even if Ewers goes down, you got
if Ewers is done after this year and goes to the NFL,
which I think this has to be his last year. I'm pretty sure.
I think he will, and you've got Manning to come right behind him, and so I think it's great. I like Manning. I kind of like what he did with the whole the money side of things with the college football game and how he
that paid
said
off.
No.
He could have just taken his $500 and he was like, no.
And he waited, and he got like $1 million or something like that. He got a commercial, got all this stuff. So
and he'll probably be on the cover next year.
He's got some smart people in his corner directing.
Telling you, dude, that Manning family.
So let's get in. Let's run off quickly some of these games for week 3.
Week 3.
Patriots, Jets.
Starting off with your team.
Patriots, Jets starting off Thursday night.
I think this is going to be a good game, but the Jets defense.
The Jets defense is really good. I want to pick the Patriots. My football, of doing the right thing when it comes to picking teams says that the Jets are going to win this. Now, I hope it's competitive. I hope we don't just lay down because it is a division rival. But I think at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers will kind of do what he did against Tennessee.
I think the Jets are playing for a little bit more than the Patriots this week. Obviously, the Patriots know that they probably aren't going to be there in the playoff picture. Right now, they're just trying to figure out their roster. They're trying to show potential. They're trying to see who can play for them for years to come.
Yeah.
The Jets are trying to prove that they can compete right now. And they need to prove that. If they are going to be able to compete, they need to handle this game.
Yeah.
It's at home, Thursday Night Football. This is not a game that should be close. And if it is, even if they end up winning, if it's close, doesn't look. I'm saying it doesn't look too good because there are teams in the AFC that are way more complete and winning much more tough games.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Eagles Saints.
Oof,
if the Eagles mess around, the Saints could blow them out.
I really believe that because AJ Brown's not going to be back this week.
Yeah,
he's out for a few weeks.
That's another one we didn't even mention. AJ Brown's out.
Brown.
If it's in New Orleans.
It's a good game.
This is a trap game for the Eagles now losing the game last night against the Falcons.
I think the Saints defense gets the edge over Philly's. I think the Saints defense is much more complete.
Yeah.
Philly may have a better D line, but overall the Saints have just been balling.
Yeah. And nothing. I mean, they're not dealing with injuries.
No,
I'm sure they are.
They've got to be one of the more healthier teams in the league. They did what they did last week, and Marshawn Lattimore wasn't even out there.
That's
on the field.
true. He did not play.
And so he'll be back.
And
at
now,
some point.
if he doesn't play, AJ Brown, might be out. So, yeah, Saints could.
The Saints their secondary is nasty. Absolutely nasty. Tyrann Mathieu playing incredible. Kool-Aid McKinstry, the rookie from Alabama, is playing very good. They've got Alontae Taylor, who's the guy that had 3 sacks for them week 1, slot corner. They're stacked. Everywhere I look, Demario Davis, linebacker.
Yeah, if the Eagles aren't careful, they could very easily go 1-2 to start the season.
Oh, yeah.
So next game, Bears, Colts. Kind of touched on it.
Yeah, I've said my piece on this. The defense
will
be
run
just
the ball.
Fine.
The defense will be fine. They've got to run the ball because the Colts have not been able to stop it.
Away from the Colts offense, methodical, timely drives, use the entire clock and just put up points. Yeah. Put up points. This is not a game that you should struggle with.
Yeah.
The defense will keep them in check, especially if the Packers were able to do that. The Packers have a good defense. I'm not counting them out, but the Bears have a top 3 unit.
Yeah.
When they're all playing together, top 3 unit. And so the biggest story is the offensive line, because if you can't block against this defensive line, who really, without Buckner, our only worry is their edge rushers.
Yeah.
And so I need to see it. I need to see continued growth from Caleb too. We talked about it. He made a big leap from week 1 to 2. So I need to see that, stack these games up and keep getting better. This is the first game of 2 more in the future that he really has a shot to, break out and get all these kinks worked out. So I'm hoping we'll see. But the next one, this is a battle between 2 teams that are 2-0 and teams that I did not think were going to be 2-0. I think they had a better chance of being 0-2.
Yeah.
But the Chargers and the Steelers.
I think the Chargers
surprising.
Win. I know we're not picking this game, but I think the Chargers win. I don't think the Steelers are very good.
So
offensively,
they're probably not, but they stick around.
They do.
They are so
because of that defense. Yeah. I give all the credit to the defense. Their defense is really good.
And Justin Fields is, it's not flashy plays what we've been used to in his career. It's either, he's crap in the bed or he's going for 100 rushing yards and a couple more touchdowns. But he's playing smart. He's playing very smart. He's not turning the ball over. I know he only has 1 touchdown through 2 weeks, but he's been playing good, and he leads the league in passer rating right now. So obviously, small sample size. I'm sure that'll change.
Yeah.
But
next one,
it's a good game.
Texans Vikings.
Ooh,
very good game.
Another 2-0 team. Like both
2 really good teams. Vikings played really good. Texans are gonna be really good.
I think the Texans, they should win this game. I really do.
Yeah.
Their defense is really good, and Jefferson is now banged up. They're not gonna have Addison, so I don't know. But
the running backs are kind of banged up as well, with Jones kind of going down.
Mixon's banged up too.
This is true. But yeah, I know, again, we're not picking this game, but I think the Texans will win. But this could be a very, very fun game to watch. 2-0. There's a reason why they're both 2-0.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, you never know.
My favorite game of the week. This one, Lions at Cardinals. Highest point total of the week. This game's going to be so much fun.
I have this one circled as well.
It's going to be awesome.
Also, Goff coming off of a loss.
In a dome again.
In a dome. I think this could be a huge game for Goff. Could be a huge game for St. Brown. And then on top of that, the Cardinals' offense looks really good too.
Really good.
With Harrison, with McBride, with their running backs.
The point total is like 52.5.
I think it's the highest point total of the season so far. I think it's actually 53.5. Because that's part of the reason why I picked my bet of the week. We'll get to that the last little bit. But yes, Lions-Cardinals, this game is circled. I think it's going to be great. It's going to be a fun watch. Kyler Murray looks like he's back after his ACL. Lions are very good. They've got talent all over the field. So, yes, this one's circled for me. Next one that I was before all these injuries happened, I was really excited about it. But Niners-Rams
sucks. Two teams that we thought were going to be at the top of the division are now bottom two.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Just, Niners coming off of a loss. Rams.
Every injury imaginable.
They've got the practice squad damn near playing for them when it comes to their D-line and their O-line. So I don't know.
A ton of big-name players are missing. People that we haven't even listed. The Niners are still missing Hufanga,
their
great
free
safety from last year. And then Dre Greenlaw is still out, too, from his ACL that he suffered. I think, was that the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship game?
No, that was Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The linebacker? Yeah, Super Bowl. His Achilles, actually. It was
his Achilles. So he won't be back for a while. But
next one, Chiefs Falcons Sunday night. Another really good one in Atlanta.
Pacheco's out.
Pacheco's out. This could make the Chiefs a little bit one-dimensional.
I think this is the game that Kelsey finally wakes up, though. I think he's going to go into the game
even
with
Jesse Bates and these safeties that they have.
That's true. That's true. So I don't know. Well, see, I do think that Kelsey will still have some wiggle room underneath because of the deep threats that Kansas City now has. They have Rice and then Xavier Worthy. The safeties are going to have to pay attention to them. But like you said, one-dimensional could end up being a game that the Falcons pull off at home.
Yeah, I mean,
it'd be crazy if the Falcons play how they did the second half of last night. It's going to be a really good game.
Stick around.
And the Chiefs are going to have to work
points.
for it.
Yeah, I agree. Next one, we got two on Monday night.
I hate this. I hate when they do this.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't want to have to pick.
I do too. Jags Bills.
I think this one's pretty easy.
This one's the Jags.
They're a good team on paper.
Yeah, they just have not put it together.
Anything.
No, they haven't.
They played two solid defenses. They blew that lead against Miami week 1.
Yeah,
and the Browns have a good defense. So I will give them that. But 3 points is.
Yeah, I agree. And the Bills right now are playing with a huge chip on their shoulder. It's in Buffalo Monday night. Well, we are actually picking these games because these are prime time.
Me and you are in agreement on this.
I think the Bills are going to win this one. This one was pretty easy.
It's crazy.
The other Monday night too is pretty easy too. Commanders at Bengals.
And this is probably why they have 2 games because they had this one on the schedule and they were like, I don't know about that. Because, dude, if the Bengals lose this game, it's time to panic. Panic mode. 0-3, and you just lost to the Commanders on primetime.
Now I will say though, this could be a very fun game to watch.
Yeah.
Commanders.
I think Jaden Daniels will. He's looking good.
He has proven to be someone really fun to watch.
Yeah.
And we said it, all he does is run the ball. All he does is make plays. So I think the Bengals will win this one, though. But, yeah, Commanders, they don't look terrible.
No.
They've got some good running backs. I know Robinson has played very good. So, yeah, but their secondary is terrible. So this could also be a huge game for Jamar.
Yep.
And some of those other guys that they have. So you never know. But yeah,
we'll see if T. Higgins can finally go.
I heard that they might, or he's really going to test it this week in practice and see if he can. So I hope so.
What even was it?
It was a hamstring. And he's been dealing with a hamstring for the past couple of years too. I think it seems like every year it's always something.
Hamstrings are some of the worst injuries that you can suffer as a football player.
Yeah. Now let's get into the bet of the week.
Yep.
My bet of the week. Two rookies. I kind of mentioned it. Highest total. Marvin Harrison. This seems really low, 67.5 receiving yards. After the week he had last week, going in against the team that the Lions are going to put up points, Cardinals are going to have to keep up. The Lions are also very young in the secondary. They've got some injuries, so I think this is Marvin Harrison. He could have another huge 100-yard game with a couple touchdowns with how many points that could be scored.
Yeah, definitely. And then mine is a guy that has been, I think he's like the tight end 2 overall for fantasy right now, Brock Bowers. And his line is at 42.5 receiving yards in a game that Brock is a huge part of that offense. Yeah. So 42.5 seems really low, especially for the usage that he's getting. Yeah. So that's our 2-man. Feel free to put it in.
Yeah, I don't think you go wrong. But like you said, Brock Bowers, his usage over the middle and just some of the percentages stuff that I've seen, there's a reason why they picked him as high as they did.
Yep.
So, but no, I think this week it's going to be, the farther we get along in the season, it's really going to come down to, I think, quarterback play and just these defenses, because these defenses are all these injuries too. It's just going to come down to which quarterback does not put their team in the situation to lose the game. And we've kind of said that with the Bills and the Steelers. with Justin Fields and Josh Allen. What's in common with those two teams?
They're playing clean football.
2-0, and they're playing clean football. So say what you want about Justin. Say what you want about the turnover stuff with Josh Allen. They're 2-0, and no interceptions between the two of them.
Nope.
So that speaks volume in a league right now that is just so, I think, offensive.
Offense is so
it's so missing right now. Like, I don't know what it is.
For 2 weeks, we threw out this stat last week, but it's gotten worse. I think through 2 weeks,
it's even lower
compared to last year. Even there's 20 less touchdown passes than last year. And you go back to like 2018, it's like 40 less.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's hard to think about what the NFL was like back then, because it was pretty much normal to see like a 42 to 35 game. And that was almost every game.
Yeah.
It was every team was scoring like 30 to 20 points, and then eventually you'd get like a stinker here and there. But maybe defense is just finally catching up.
Maybe.
I did see this. There is a alarming amount of teams that are finally adopting the cover 2, just base cover 2 defense. 2 high safeties 24/7, 2 corners that are covering the flats 24/7, and everyone else is assignments in between. And that could be a huge reason that we're seeing like this big dip in passing yards. We just saw Mahomes. I think outside of a game that he left early, he had 151 passing yards against the Bengals. That's the lowest in his career.
Yeah.
And he started the entire game. It's crazy to think that even Mahomes is being affected by this.
It just kind of proves to the whole NFL is so unpredictable.
Oh my God, yeah.
But other than that, if you have anything that you missed or some of your favorite teams, moments, players, let us know of guys that we could watch out for with some of these games. We will have we kind of have our pick'ems that we do with some of our other guys.
We'll have the graphic out later.
We'll have the graphic out later in the week. I know it's a little early. But yeah, other than that, follow us on social media, follow us on Twitter, follow us on everything. And hopefully we see a injury-free week 3 of NFL football.
Fingers crossed.
I don't want any more injuries because it's starting to suck for my fantasy team and just as a fan of watching all these games.
I saw a picture today of some guy that has his entire roster is out.
That's funny. At that point, I'd just delete the app. So, but thank you guys for watching, and that will do it for today's episode. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. It's been real, guys.